Alright. Got that Matthew McConaughey, Shauna Wanafana. Hey, we are live with day 0. Let me just double check everything is going. It looks like everything is indeed going. We'll give it a minute, wait for people to come on in. Oh, you could hear me again. But yes, we are finally here. Thank you, Melanie, for your membership to Judio. It has been a long time coming, and boy, am I tired of waiting. I am so tired of waiting. We are finally back, and the sumo is upon us. And we will start off with some really feel-good news. For those of you that haven't, I keep bringing this up. This is the backup channels, by the way. I keep bringing this up on accident. But we will start with some good news. Then we will go over what we're looking at on the Banzuke. My personal Guess the Banzuke, which I did terrible again. Thank you, Circumzenthal, for your subscription. My picks for Kachi Clash, and then we will round it out by ending on YouTube and going over on the Twitch side. We will continue watching some of these training videos. Some of these sumo training videos and winding down because I am very sleepy. I have been up since 6 a.m. because that's the time the baby decided to wake us up today. Yes, I will be doing the sumo on this channel if I don't get a strike. If I don't get a strike, then we will stay on this channel. If I do get a strike, we do have LeoDickinsonSumo 1 and 2 already up as our backups. Add you to the Kachi Clash team. Christina Blue, you got it. Let's see. We have to go to Christina. Oh, I spelled it wrong. My bad. Let's see. Christina Blue, there you are. Let's add you to the Kachi Clash team. But anyway, let's start off with some really fun, cool news. Total number of prize money applications reaches a new record for tournaments outside of Tokyo. 2,298, with 6 wrestlers receiving over 100 sponsorships. For those of you that don't have a Twitter, or do have a Twitter but haven't yet followed Italian Ozeki, highly recommend their Twitter feed because they translate a lot of those Japanese articles. But here we go. On the 7th, the Japanese Sumo Association announced that the total number of prize money applicants has reached almost 2,300 on the dot. The previous record for the highest number of prize money applicants in a regional tournament was 1,938 during the 2019 Osaka tournament. So the 2019 Haru Basho. For reference, if we wanted to go all the way back, let me actually just do Banzuke. And let's see, 2019 Haru Basho. Hakuho went 15-0 Yusho. Kakuryu was 10-5. Takayasu 10-5 as Ozeki. Goeido was 12-3. He got close. But this was, I think, right before I started watching too. Yago was in the top division. Tomokaze, Terutsuyoshi, and Daishoho all made their debuts in the top division. Aoyama with a 12-3 as well. Ichinojo with that 14-1. He became a Sekiwake after that. Very interesting tournament. That was the previous record. Among them, 285 sponsorships were designated for the final bout of the day. In terms of individual wrestlers, Ozeki Onosato received the most with 164 sponsorships. So this means no matter what, the last match of the day, whether it's Hoshoryu, which 99.9% of the time it will be Hoshoryu unless he gets injured because he is the Yokozuna right now. 285 sponsorships are for the final match of the day, but individual sponsorships, 164 for Onosato specifically. followed by Hoshoryu with 157, and Oshoma with 126, and then Ura with 125. So basically what this kind of means is Oshoma and Ura, and if they win all 15 of their matches, they will get all 126 and 125 respectively Cashapp envelopes. So that is pretty interesting. The sumo tomorrow will start at 6:30 Central Time, American, but it is, I believe, 9 or closer to 9 a.m. Japanese time. We'll just go with the Japanese time because it is going to be, in America, it's going to be daylight savings time, so that's going to throw things off for the whatchamacallits, for the Europeans. I am using my model, yes. But anyway, it is interesting to see that Ono Sato has the most possible sponsorships envelopes compared to a brand new Yokozuna. Now, of course, this is probably stacking the 157 here plus the 285. So it's kind of understood that, you know, the last match of the day is going to be Hoshoryu anyway. Thank you, Mississippi Cajun, for your subscription. But let's see. Each sponsorship is worth 70,000 yen. Winning wrestler receives 60,000 yen after deducting administrative fees. Going to bed? Alrighty. I won't. I'll try not to. Let's see. Since half of it is temporarily held by the association as tax payment deposit, the amount actually received is 30,000 yen. So we have, it's also very interesting to see, we have Onosato, Hoshoryu, Oshoma, Ura, then Kirishima as number 5, and Kotonowaka at 113, or rather Kotozakura. Looks like a little bit behind. But it is very interesting to see that Ozeki Kotozakura has 50 less sponsorships than Onosato. So, you know, that kind of begs the question, is Onosato more popular? Is he seen as a better prospect within Japan? I do believe it's probably the popularity angle, because his rise up the Banzuke was so fast, was so electric. So probably something like that. And then, of course, the new Yokozuna Hoshoryu right behind at 157. Just a very interesting thing to see. So let's get into, let's do the Guess the Banzuke. Let's do this really quickly. So for those of you that watched my Guess the Banzuke video, you'll know that when I did my video, I submitted my answers like 10 minutes before it was due. Like, I literally did my homework at the last minute, and as a result, I did horrifically bad. 4-11, 327th place, only 30 ranks above last place. I did horrendously. Part of that is because I was rushing, and, you know, I even left, where is he? I even left Roga up there too. So it went pretty badly. I accidentally left Roga on there, but there was a lot of things that, you know, I couldn't have expected. Or how come Oshoma is up there? That's a really good question, you know? Let's go back to that, actually. Oshoma, I think he's also quite popular, possibly because he's from Naruto stable, an interesting stable. Could be because, again, he finally broke up into the higher ranks. He could just have a really rich benefactor that wanted to sponsor him a bunch of times. Interesting to see why Oshoma, of all people, has a top 5 in the possible sponsorship slots. So, very interesting to see. But back to the Guess the Banzuke. Of course, rushing my answers, I got almost last place, so don't ever copy my homework. But even after working through it and trying to, you know, actually math things out, I still did horrifically bad. I only got 43 points, which would have, you know, instead of a 4-11 scoreline, it would have given me a 5-10 scoreline, and I would have been up at around the 280 mark instead of 320 mark. But either way, I'm just really bad at guessing the Banzuke, aren't I? Good night. So, of course, Hoshoryu, Onosato, Kotozakura, we knew how that was going to fall. Daisho, Sekiwake won, but what I didn't expect, and probably what a lot of other people didn't expect too, was Oho skipping above into Sekiwake. Now, Oho I had at Komusubi 1 East. Oho, of course, he had that 12-3 from Maegashira 3, so, you know, I thought Kirishima with that 11-4 was not going to get leapfrogged over. But thank you, Green Eagle, for your subscription. I did not believe Kirishima was going to get leapfrogged over, but Oho with that 12-3, I think they're basically giving him the nod, like, hey, we want to push you. We want Oho to succeed, so we miss out on points on the Oho Kirishima coin flip there. Abi, Wakataka Kage, Wakamoto Haru, Gonoyama, we all got right. And even during the video, I said maybe Chiyoshoma could be above Tobizaru and Takanosho. I didn't think he would be with his 9-6 versus the Tobizaru and Takanosho losing records, but Chiyoshoma jumped over them too. So I missed out on points there. I kind of knew I would miss out on points there. I only got 1 point for Takanosho, missed out on Chiyoshoma, Tobizaru. And then Takayasu, Ichiyamamoto, Ura, I got all perfectly right. But then after that, this is where things went really wrong for me in the upper middle part of the Banzuke, because Hirado Umi, I had him at Maegashira 5, but he was actually at Maegashira 6, with Keen Bolzon below Hirado Umi, Shodai, and Atami Fuji, and even, you know, a lot of other people shuffling around, Tamawashi, Takeru Fuji, that kind of thing. Keen Bolzon, he had a 12-3 from Maegashira 14, and I thought, okay, he's right, you know, around all these other losers. He's below some of these losers that I think are going to stay up there. But instead, you know, Hirado Umi had a 7-8. He fell a little bit further than I thought he would. Keen Bolzon leapfrogged him, and that messed up a lot of points for me. So I missed out on Keen Bolzon and Hirado Umi. Takeru Fuji, Atami Fuji, Tamawashi, all Shodai, they were all scrambled up. I completely missed a lot of those guesses, so that is 100% on me. Just like, you know, Hirado Umi went lower than I expected, Keen Bolzon went higher, and that also, you know, Takeru Fuji, he had, where was he? He had a 10-5. He jumped up over Shodai, who I didn't think that was going to happen. I did not think Takeru Fuji would jump over Shodai, but he did, so, you know, I lost out on points right there. Tamawashi and Atami Fuji. Let's see. I had Tamawashi with a 9-6 from Maegashira 10. And then we had Atami Fuji with a 5-10 from Maegashira 2. I didn't think Tamawashi or Takeru Fuji was going to be above Atami Fuji, because usually they go easy on those losers from those higher ranks, but they were pretty harsh on Atami Fuji. They dropped him 6 ranks instead of the 5 that I thought, so missed out on a good chunk of points there. Oshoma, Haku Oho, Endo, Nishikigi, and Shonan no Umi, I guessed 100% correctly, which was pretty interesting to see. And then, of course, more messing up near the bottom of the Banzuke, because part of it, too, is that I believed Tamashoho was going to survive with his 6-9, but Kageaki was going to fall with his 6-9, even though they're at the same rank. But they both fell, and Shirokuma is up in the top division. I 100% did not expect that to happen. Shirokuma making it up into the top division is very interesting. Thank you, Salty Tugboat, for your tier 1 subscription. So I lost out on a good chunk of points because I had one person completely missing. But I, you know, near the bottom of the Banzuke here, you know, Midori Fuji, I got... Oh, actually, I calculated this incorrectly. Midori Fuji, I actually would have gotten a point for, so I'm actually up to 44 points. Let me just type that down here. Midori Fuji may say I had Midori Fuji I had on the wrong side of the Banzuke. And then Nishiki Fuji, I had him, let's see. Nishiki Fuji with his 9 and 6. I expected him to go a little bit higher. He didn't, which is a little surprising to me, so I lost out on points there. Meisei, 6 and 9 from Maegashira 10. He only fell to Maegashira 11, so they didn't make him fall as far as I thought they would. So it's like the Banzuke is very complicated to try to guess. Thank you for the 100 bits, Circumzenithal. Golden Kappa train? That's actually really rare. Exclusive Golden Kappa emote for 24 hours. Oh, I don't know if people are going to be able to get that. But over on Twitch, thank you so much for starting that hype train. You have an opportunity to get a Golden Kappa, which is actually pretty rare. Anyway, I did have Shishi in the right spot. And then I did have Ryuden and Chudano Umi at the right rank, but on the wrong side of the Banzuke. And then Aonishiki I had in the right spot too. So honestly, those were all just super lucky guesses. They did drop me Takayumi further than I expected him to go. I put him down at Maegashira 15. He fell to Maegashira 17. Really harsh drop. Like, they're punishing him. Asakori, because of that, Sadano Umi, Asakoryu, Koto Shouho are actually above me Takayumi, which again was a thing I didn't expect. So that shuffles around all those points, missed opportunities right there. And then again, Toki Hayate holding that last position on the Banzuke, being saved by the skin of his teeth. Very interesting to see right there. So 44 points actually would have put me still at 5 and 10, but at a 275 instead of 327. So I would have moved up 50 spots. But I mean, that just kind of goes to show how difficult it is to guess the Banzuke, because in some of these situations, it was just, I didn't expect them to punish someone as hard as they did, and I didn't expect them to reward someone as much as they did. So a little bit of give and take right there, a little bit of, you know, just you can't really predict that kind of thing, or maybe you can and I'm just stupid. But let's just lean with the I'm really bad at guessing the Banzuke. So I know we're kind of rushing through this, but I am really tired, so I want to get to the training section, the watching videos section of this day 0 preview. But it is also really interesting to note that this is, you know, there's a huge upswing in people playing Guess the Banzuke. And, you know, since I want to say what this is back in maybe, oh, you can actually count it out if you really wanted to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, year by year. But I think this is the 90s right here where it started to dip, or was actually at its peak and then dipped. But it's really cool to see that there are a lot of sumo fans guessing the Banzuke, getting into sumo, and, you know, playing these side games because they're so invested in the sumo. Like, it's fun to see. This is awesome. Second highest, only being beaten out by the previous tournament. So let's all keep playing Guess the Banzuke and, you know, getting this fun game more popular. That'll bring us to the next section, the Kachi Clash. And I know everyone's probably going to be on that new hotness, Hoshoryu. Everyone is probably low on Kotozakura. Everyone may have still forgotten or might still be high on Onosato. But honestly, again, you know me. I pick my favorites. I'm going to be picking Kotozakura. I'm going to be picking Tobizaru. Everything else is still up in the air. But let's just go one by one. Hoshoryu, it was reported that he has an elbow injury, but he is still training. And apparently he looked good in the training videos, which we will be watching over on the Twitch side. But, you know, that is one small cause for concern. That is one reason to not pick Hoshoryu. The other reason to pick him, or not pick him too, would be the, not the sophomore slump, but basically the hangover, the Yusho hangover, the new promotion hangover. Basically, anytime anyone reaches a new career high rank, they will struggle at that rank. Especially something as prestigious as Yokozuna, it is very sink or swim. And, you know, that would also maybe, if you're not that much of a fan of Hoshoryu, shake your confidence in picking him because, oh, he just made it there. He just, came off of a U show. Is he actually going to be able to carry that momentum? It is hard to. It is very difficult to. But there was a column I was reading the other day that the long short of it was the new title is more likely to change you for the better. So Hoshoryu, as likely as it is that he does struggle because of the new rank, he could thrive because of the new rank. So that's up to you whether or not you pick Hoshoryu. Kotozakura, I'm going to go to him next. He was struggling with a leg injury at the previous tournament. It was like halfway through the tournament, we started speculating and kind of was like, yeah, he has to be fighting injured. There's no way, he's looking super weak. There's no way he usually looks this weak. Something has to be wrong with him. And indeed, something was wrong with him. Kotozakura, hopefully he is fully healed by now. Hopefully Kotozakura is the same strength that he is at when we saw his 14-1, and hopefully he competes for the cup. I'm personally voting for him because he's my favorite of the bunch. And then you have Onosato, who, according to that article we were just reading, is the most popular, at the very least, the most popular with the guys who have money. He is the most sponsored sumo wrestler at this tournament, the Ozeki. Onosato, he is still doing well. He is still, he's been flying under the radar. 9-6, 10-5 as an Ozeki. Excuse me. Pardon me. But he has been performing pretty well. 9-6, 10-5, and the next one could be an 11-4. Ha ha ha. But honestly, he has still been there. If you look at these stats, the starting off with 3 losses, well, Hoshoryu started off with 3 losses. In the tournament before that, in November, he started with 2 losses in that first week and then stumbled in the second week. So it's just a matter of if he can, not stumble, then he will stand tall. Of course, you could say that about anybody, but I think it's more true for Onosato because he only has a very short history, but generally speaking, he is good in the first week, and then might struggle in the middle. You can kind of see in the late second, early third trimester of the tournament, like day 9, 10 right here, seems to always lose on day 10. Day 11 is another day he struggles. Day 12 is another day he's like 50-50 on. And you could say that the outlier was this first tournament as Ozeki, where he lost on day 13 and 14 too, because he finishes strong in these final 3 days generally, or at least before he became an Ozeki. So now that Onosato has been up here, and I think part of it too is going to be the fact that the spotlight is not on him. The spotlight is going to be on Kadoban Ozeki Kotozakura and new Yokozuna Hoshoryu. That is where the spotlight is. So Onosato could be a sneaky winner here. He's not a dark horse because he's a top contender, but people are not going to be paying attention to him for the first few days. That is when he can take his advantage. Onosato, I think all 3 of these guys at their peak are all very even in strength. I would still say, again, 100% strength because we've seen it recently. I would still put Kotozakura over Hoshoryu, and it was because of the injury that Kotozakura was struggling through at the last tournament that, of course, Hoshoryu was the one who got the nod for Yokozuna first. You can call me biased. Go right ahead. That's perfectly fine. I'll admit it, because Kotozakura is one of my favorites. I still think Kotozakura is the strongest of these 3. Hoshoryu, a very, very close second, and Onosato, a very, very close third. We're splitting hairs. We're talking about inches here. You could realistically bet your life savings on any one of these 3 guys and be confident that they will win. But I think Kotozakura is stronger. Hoshoryu went 9-4 against Onosato at the Tokitsukaze Keiko. That's good information. Thank you. Hoshoryu needed help from Keen Bozan to win. That is true. How do you guys find information when sumo tournaments start? We use the sumo database. So let me put that into the chat for you. This is the link that we generally use. This is the website that we use, the sumo database. There is also the official sumo website that is more timely with their updates, but this is more full of information. So I like using this one better. So Yogi barrel logic, if they don't lose then they should win. Well, it's 50-50. You either lose or you win, man. Next section, Sekiwake and Komusubi. Now this one I feel like is going to be very heavily influenced both by the recency bias and both by the fact that Daisho and Abi are still up here. Because Daisho and Abi, don't get me wrong, they're great guys, but they are consistent 8 and 7s, especially at these ranks. They will not, like Daisho, we've seen him win the tournament from here. We've seen him win the tournament or almost win the tournament a year ago, almost win the tournament 2 years ago at this very tournament, and then, win the tournament 4 years ago. He's been at this rank 4 years. He's been up here for a long time, but he just can't break up there. Coming off of the back of an 11-4, though, after 3 consecutive 8 and 7s, that's a good bit of momentum for him. It's just a matter of, can he keep that going? I don't think so. I think the 11-4 is more of a flash in the pan than it is the new norm. Abi, the same thing. He's actually falling half of a rank with a 7-8 after an 11-4, which came after a 5-10 from Sekiwake. So Abi is even more inconsistent than Daisho. So if you're gonna pick one of these Oshizumo guys, you're gonna be picking Daisho over Abi. And if you do pick Abi, it's probably because he's your favorite. Oho and Kirishima are the other two. Now, Kirishima, former Ozeki, we want him to make it back up to Ozeki because that would be really cool. He is, I'm not going to say he's older because, he is 28. He's actually not that old. He's only 28. He's younger than me. He's actually 1 year younger than my little brother. So he's not even that old. He's still here. He's still strong. He is banged up, though. You're absolutely right. He 0-3 those first 3 days. 0-5 those first 5 days. Like, for some reason, ever since... Actually, not even ever since becoming an Ozeki. His first week, his first trimester, his first week of the tournament, looks like it's always been weak. You know what I mean? So, on those tournaments where he doesn't struggle in that first week, and even in those tournaments where he struggles in the first week, like, he started off 4-3, finished 12-3 Yusho. Started, 5-2, finished 11-4. That's still a good finish. 2 11-4 finishes. Then becoming an Ozeki, he's been like, can he do it? Can't he do it? Can he do it? Can't he do it? Like, look at this scoreline: 12-3 from Sekiwake, and he's fighting all the same guys. And then the next tournament, 6-9. It's like, oh, he started off 0-5. Well, shoot. He is probably fighting injured, and he probably was. And then after that, 11-4. Like, you don't know what you're going to get with him. I like Kirishima a lot, don't get me wrong, but my confidence in him is very shaky, so I don't really want to put my money on him. And then you have Shin Sekiwake Oho. The new Sekiwake coming off the back of his 12-3 unfortunate playoff loss. But he is one of those younger guys, like, he's the same age as Hoshoryu, sure, 25 years old, but he's, like, Hoshoryu is a phenom. Oho is right below that. Oho, and I've been saying it, it's only a matter of time until he finally comes into his own. He's spent a year at the very tippy top of the division. Maegashira 3, 4, 6, 2, 1, 9-6, 6-9, 9-6, 6-9. Like, the 6 and 9s are not bad score lines for a Maegashira 1. That's definitely not bad for a young Maegashira 1. And then this 12-3, is 12-3 is not going to be the new norm, but it is also not a flash in the pan. This was a great tournament for him, and I do believe I read a quote from him in an article where his stablemates were like, "Wow, you're performing really well," and he responded with, "No, I'm just performing how I should be." It's like, yeah, you are performing how you should be. So, I don't expect, but I really want 10 plus wins out of Oho here. I think he can get it, and I expect a winning record. Because if we look at his schedule, being Maegashira 3, like, the only question marks here really are Tamawashi and Onokatsu. Like, why did he fight these guys? Like, Tamawashi, though, I mean, he finished 9-6. Tamawashi is always a strong opponent. He's, like, you could be anywhere on the Banzuke. If you're fighting Tamawashi, that's a scary opponent to have. Onokatsu, really the only question mark here. And then, of course, Keen Bolzan was in the Yusho race on the final day, so of course he's going to fight him. But he had that gauntlet. He fought the Komusubi, he fought the Sekiwake, he fought all 3 Ozeki, and he largely came out on top. So, Oho, like the chat is saying, passed the eye test last Basho. He's my pick for this Kachi Clash as well. I believe in Oho. I've been saying it's only a matter of time until he finally comes into his own, and I think now is going to be the time. Now, I don't know how much of a relationship he has with Hoshoryu, because I have brought up in the past they were rivals in high school, and obviously they are very far removed from high school right now. They're 25 years old. You graduate high school when you're like 18, so I don't know if they're still buddy-buddy. I don't know if they're still rivals or if they see each other that way, but it could be a situation where Oho sees Hoshoryu got Yokozuna and that lights a fire under him. He's building off of only, if I close off that Kirishima tab, he's only building off of a 12-3 right now in reference of an Ozeki push. And yes, Maegashira 3 is close enough to Sekiwake that this definitely counts as an Ozeki push. He just needs to finish these next 2 tournaments with like 10 plus wins each. 11 would be nice too. So Oho, we could see him Ozeki by July, which would be awesome, but let's not count our chickens before we hatch. We still have this tournament ahead of us. But I think Oho might have a fire lit under him. I think he is going to come into his own, and I think he could be the next Ozeki candidate. Then we have the next tier, Maegashira 1 through 5. You all know who I'm going to pick. It's going to be Tobizaru. There was a bit of a scandal with Tobizaru where apparently he was bullying his subordinates, and, you know, a bunch of people came out and said, no, he isn't. Yes, he is. It's tabloid bull crap. And my general rule of thumb when that kind of thing happens is if the punishment from the Sumo Association is heavy, then there is a lot of truth to it. So, like, for example, the Hirado Umi and Shiden scandal, where Hide no Umi, my mistake. Hide no Umi went out gambling. And because it wasn't that big of an amount, they just gave him a slap on the wrist, a suspension for 1 basho. And it's like, okay, he gambled just a little bit. Or Oshoma, there was a huge article written about him in a tabloid where apparently he was like stomping on the broken arm of a fellow stablemate, and nothing came of it because nothing was there. Tobizaru got a light, like a stern, like, oh, don't be nice to your subordinates. It's like, okay, so clearly there was nothing there. You know what I mean? Like, of course, there could be, you know, ooh, corruption and ooh, you know, conspiracy and oh, they're burying the story. But on the other hand, you have Hokuseiho, my mistake, Hokuseiho, where he was forcibly retired from sumo because of how horrific his bullying was. And I know that's 2 complete extremes on the spectrum, but again, I feel like that's like, oh, Hokuseiho must have been a real scumbag, and must have actually been doing all this shit if they forced him to retire. Now, again, you could say, oh, it's because he was Hakuho's stable that they came down harder on him. But at the same time, you know, you have Nishonoseki's stable coming under fire. You have Koto Oshu's stable coming under fire. Or Naruto Oyakata, my mistake. So it's like there's so many different people involved in so much in the politics. Like, sure, you can always argue that kind of thing. But at the same time, I like to kind of Occam's razor it. The most simple explanation is the best explanation. So in a case of bullying, if there's no punishment, there probably wasn't any bullying. If there is punishment, then there probably was bullying. In Tobizaru's case, there wasn't really any punishment. So, I don't know, maybe he was rude to one of his Sukebito at one time. I don't know. It's one of those things that's going to stay murky, but it's not going to affect my fandom of Tobizaru. He's still going to be my favorite sumo wrestler. And, I mean, if he was punished, if there was, you know, actual scandal there, then I would be very upset about that, and I would indeed drop him. But again, the punishment was so light that I'm inclined to believe there was really nothing going on. Enough about that. Let's actually get into the sumo wrestlers here. We have Wakataka Kage, Wakamoto Haru, Gonoyama, Chiyo Shoma at a new career high. I don't think he's gonna last. Tobizaru, Takanosho, Takayasu, Ichi Yamamoto at a new career high. I don't think he's going to last. Ura and Keen Bozan. So the obvious outliers here are Ura and Keen Bozan. Because they are at that Maegashira 5, they are just barely outside of the Sanyaku ranks here. Or rather, the schedule where they have to go through the Sanyaku gauntlet. Because, again, you have to remember, Hoshoryu can only fight down. So everyone that's about the Maegashira 3, 4, 5 threshold really only fights up because everyone above them can only fight down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Ura barely misses Hoshoryu. Keen Bozan will barely miss Hoshoryu unless one of these guys up here gets injured, or if there's like overlap in the stables. So like Daisho will have to fight Ura because he can't fight Tobizaru. Wakataka Kage will have to fight Ura because he can't fight Wakamoto Haru, and so on. So Ura and Keen Bozan, I think, probably have the best opportunity to be the top performers in this section. You could also argue Keen Bozan coming off of that 12 wins is pretty hot, but he did struggle immensely in that second week once he started fighting stronger opponents. He struggled against Abi. He did beat Onosato. He did beat the injured Kotozakura. He lost to Hoshoryu twice, by the way. He lost to Oho. He did beat Kirishima. So, I mean, if Kotozakura is healthy, he loses to Kotozakura. Onosato, I still believe he's a little off of his game from the new promotion, so I think he's going to perform better. So that could have gone either way, 50-50 kind of. I do believe Keen Bozan didn't overperform, but he definitely doesn't belong down at Maegashira 14, obviously. Maegashira 5, if he dodges those top guys, if he does not fight the Sanyaku ranks, he can get a winning record. I don't think it's going to be a 10-plus winning record, but I think he's going to get a winning record. Ura, same thing kind of. If he doesn't have to fight the gauntlet, or at the very least, if a majority of his matches are fighting lower on the Banzuke, winning record easily. And we can actually check the schedule. So let's see. We have Ura versus Ichi Yamamoto and Hirado Umi versus Keen Bozan. Already they're fighting down. We also have like Tobizaru Kirishima, Takayasu Takanosho, so maybe even Takayasu will fight down too for a little bit. But I mean, it's that close of a threshold. If Ura starts winning, then they probably will throw him to the wolves. If he's middle of the pack, he's going to keep fighting down. And I know Uda is also a fan favorite. I know Keen Bozan is probably going to have that recency bias high of a lot of people voting for them, but they are good choices here. Ichi Yamamoto, I think, actually, this isn't Chiyoshoma's career high. His career high is Maegashira 2 West. So he's returning to his career high. Interesting. And the last time he was there, back in 2017, 8 years ago, he went 5-10. I don't think he's going to perform as well this time. He's definitely going to have a losing record. So definitely don't choose Chiyoshoma here. Just look at this second week. Kirishima, Hoshoryu, Onosato, Daieisho, Wakamoto Haru. Losses. Loss after loss after loss after loss after loss. So don't vote for Chiyoshoma. Don't pick him unless he's your favorite. Ichi Yamamoto, I wouldn't pick him either. Gonna keep that short and simple. Takanosho is an enigma because he'll go 6-9 from Maegashira 1 and then 11-4 from Maegashira 5. At Maegashira 3, he will be fighting largely all of the same people that he fought from Maegashira 1, so I think you can expect the same results. You can say the same thing about Tobizaru. You can say the same thing about Wakataka and Wakamoto. But I think it's different for the Waka Bros. We'll get to them in a little bit. Tobizaru, obviously, he's my favorite. The Tricky Monkey. I'm voting for him. But I don't actually think he's going to do well this tournament. Like, I'm picking him because I like him, but I don't think he's going to do well. Because, I mean, he performed really poorly at the last tournament for some reason. Like, he lost to Abi, which is usually 50-50. Lost to Wakamoto Haru, which, okay, he struggles against. Lost to Wakataka Kage, he struggles against. Lost to Takanosho, he struggles against. Lost to Haku Oho, which kind of came out of nowhere. Beat Atami Fuji, which he usually struggles against. And, I mean, this was kind of a hard tournament for him. Just look at all of these, like, negative records against him. He lost to Oho, which is now 50-50. Beat Uda, of course. He beat Teruno Fuji again, but Teruno Fuji was injured, as we know. Beat Kotozakura, but Kotozakura was injured. Beat Onosato for the first time. So you could even argue that this 7-8 was an overperformance for Tobizaru. So definitely don't pick Tobizaru. Like, again, I'm picking him because he's my favorite, but I would not pick Tobizaru here. Let's talk about Takayasu, though. Takayasu, he's far removed from his strongest. He has been good or injured. He is far removed from his strongest days. But I do think his schedule, again, will largely impact how he performs. Like, Takayasu will be fighting Uda on day 2. On day 1, he's fighting Takanosho. Don't know how the rest of the week is going to go, but we can kind of see Hoshoryu, Maegashira 1 and 2, and 3 will be fighting up. So definitely Takanosho will be fighting up eventually. We don't really know about Takayasu, but he is the next in line after Takanosho. If he fights down, he'll go 8-7. He'll win those matches. But against the Sanyaku, I don't really know. It's been a while since he's actually fought the Sanyaku, because the last time he was up there, he went 0-2-13, injured, 7-3-5, slipped a disc, but he was beating Hoshoryu, Kotozakura, Atami Fuji. Like, he was beating those guys. But, I mean, he's just been getting weaker and weaker every tournament, and I hate to say that because I like him so much, but I don't believe he's going to have a Tamawashi-esque run where, as an older gentleman, he will be fighting for a Yusho. Fighting for a winning record, definitely, but fighting for a Yusho, I don't think so. I wouldn't vote for Takayasu here. I'm not too confident. Gonoyama, an interesting subject. He's one of those guys that's young, strong, but a little inconsistent. And by a little, I mean a lot. 3 straight losing records, 6-9, 5-10, 6-9, into an 11-4, 8-7. So he's too good for those middle ranks. He is too good for those middle ranks. Maegashira 6, Maegashira 8, he gets those winning records. Maegashira 3, he struggled to get the winning record and only got help with the Fusensho from Teruno Fuji. I mean, not only got help, but he even lost to the injured Kotozakura. He, had to fight lower on the Banzuke to get those wins. Midori Fuji, Takara Fuji, Hirado Umi, Uda. Like, it's a toss-up against the best of the best. And it's not even in his favor in that toss-up. So, Gonoyama, I don't have too much confidence in him either. And then we have the Waka Bros, which I think it was uncharacteristic that Wakataka Kage struggled as much as he did at Komusubi. I think this 7 and 8 was a fluke. Like, this was not the usual Wakataka Kage. I think this was him getting his sea legs back, because it has been a little while. He is, 2 years removed from that knee injury that he suffered against Kotozakura, and I think it was just him getting his sea legs back. Wakataka Kage, I definitely think he's going to get a winning record here. Wakamoto Haru, will you get a stronger winning record than your younger brother? I don't think so. For a long time, I've liked Wakamoto Haru, but he's always been like the weakest compared to the same people at his rank. Like when he was Sekiwake vying for Ozeki, clearly weaker than Hoshoryu and Kotozakura. As a Sekiwake, clearly weaker than Daieisho, who is getting consistent winning records. As a Komusubi, clearly weaker than, the person across from him. But he's still stronger than like 99% of the Banzuke. So it's like he is, if he were at Maegashira 4 fighting down, easy 10 plus wins. But if he's fighting in the Sanyaku, it seems like it's always 50-50. Like, I was very high on him, 11-4, 10-5, Sekiwake. Is he going to get the 12 wins? Probably not. But then 6-9 is so uncharacteristically bad. Like, he has a winning record against Gonoyama, lost. A winning record against Oho, lost. Okay, lost to Shodai, who he struggles against. Lost to Abi, who he struggles against. Takanosho struggles against. Daieisho, it's pretty much 50-50, lost. Kirishima, it's not exactly 50-50, but it's closer. Struggles, lost. Lost to Takayasu, who he struggles against. Lost to Ichiyamamoto, who he usually wins against. Beat Hirada Umi for the first time. And then other than that, like, he should be winning a lot of these matches, not losing them. Like, I guess it is more 50-50 than I would have imagined. So Wakamoto Haru, like, it's hard to choose someone here. Like, my first instinct would be Wakataka Kage, because, like I said, I believe that 7 and 8 was more of just one bad tournament than it was an ongoing trend. And then, of course, the other options in Kinbo, I'm not as confident in Kinbozan as I would be in Uda, but honestly, like, this Maegashira 1 through 5, it's very difficult for me to like say who is the standout best option here, because, and this is gonna sound silly, but it's relatively weak, this Maegashira 1 through 5. Like, of course you could say, oh, but we have Takayasu, we have Kinbozan, who just came off of a 12 and 3, but like Wakataka Kage, we don't know how much that knee injury is still affecting him. Wakamoto Haru, he's been wishy-washy even since, like, ever since he got up to this high in the first place. He's been wishy-washy. Chiyoshima, frankly, I don't believe he belongs here, but he definitely fought his way up here. He's gonna get smacked back down though. Takanosho is wishy-washy. Tobizaru is wishy-washy. Again, Ichiyamamoto, I don't think he belongs up here. He is so high, and I mean, if he continues to swim, then good for him, but I think he's going to sink. So it's really hard to make a call for this Maegashira 1 through 5. Like, obviously, pick your favorites. I'm picking Tobizaru. None of them inspire confidence in me. Like, maybe Wakataka Kage is probably going to be the most popular pick next to Uda. Maybe Takayasu, but that's a risky pick too. Like, good luck on who you're going to pick in this section. Hirada Umi, Takeru Fuji, Shodai, Tamawashi, Atami Fuji, Oshoma, Haku Oho, Endo, Nishikigi, and Shonan no Umi. So I'm going to go a little bit faster through this section. I don't care for Endo or Nishikigi. They are longtime veterans. They are strong in their own right. They are kind of at this equilibrium in these middle ranks where this is where they kind of belong, but they're never going to do much better. And if they do, then it is a flash in the pan and no one could have expected it. So that's my judgment on those two. Then we have kind of this group of younger guys. Haku Oho, Atami Fuji, Takeru Fuji, Shonan no Umi, and I guess I'll include Oshoma in that too. Haku Oho, 21 years old. This is his career high rank, Maegashira 9, before he had to go out for shoulder surgery. Coming off of the back of a 10-5. I don't think he's going to get another 10-5, but I think he's going to get a winning record. Atami Fuji, falling out of those Sanyaku ranks with a 5-10. I think after spending a year fighting those Sanyaku guys, he's going to come out like a gangbuster here. Like the last time he was this low, 11-4 Jun Yusho. And even before that, 11-4 playoff. Like, I think he's going to come out swinging. I think he's going to be fantastic here. Takeru Fuji, again, reaching his career high, Maegashira 6. Had to bow out due to, injury, needing surgery, something like that. Coming off the back of 2 consecutive 10-5s in the top division. I'm confident he can get another 10-5. It's just a matter of how will it come and how easy will it look for him. Because if we look at this, he was, not 12-3. He was, 10-3 going into the final few days in the Yusho race. Fought Hoshoryu, lost. Fought Kirishima, lost. So, against those Sanyaku guys, yeah, he's going to struggle and lose. But for the most part, he is still relatively new to this top division. We don't really have a good read on him, but I think he's going to have a winning, 100% going to have a winning record. Is it going to be another 10-5? I don't think so. Shonan no Umi, now, he's confusing me because he's one of the biggest guys in the top division. He's one of the younger guys in the top division too, so you should be thinking like, oh, he's big, he's strong, he's got a lot of room to grow. Yes, Kotozakura is Karoban status for this Basho. I'm sorry I saw that message 5 minutes late. But Shonan no Umi, it's like he's huge, but it looks like he doesn't know how to throw around his weight. Like 2 straight 8-7s. Doesn't, from the bottom of the Banzuke too, it doesn't inspire confidence. And as much as I like him, I'm not confident in picking him. And then we have Oshoma, who for some reason is one of the top 5 sponsored guys at this tournament. 27 years old, he's another really big guy. Coming off the back of an 8-7 after reaching a career high of Maegashira 4 West, falling from that 4-11. I think a winning record is guaranteed, but 10 plus wins? I don't know, because, he's been near this rank for about a year. 7-8, 10-5, 8-7. That's not a lot of consistency there. So Oshoma needs to build his consistency before I really, have confidence in picking him. Again, I believe he will get that winning record, though. I did kind of skip Hirado Umi too. 24 years old. He is one of those younger guys as well. 3 straight losing records. 7-8, 4-11, 7-8. I thought when he debuted at Komusubi 10-5, okay, wow, he's the next phenom. He's doing it. But then just fell right back down. 4-11 meteoric fall. 7-8, like the 7-8 from Komusubi, that's like, okay, yeah, sure, he's still young, he's still new, maybe he just got figured out. And then 4-11 right here is like, okay, his opponents figured him out. His opponents figured him out. 7-8 from Maegashira 5. Let's take a look at who he was fighting. He did have to fight kind of through the gauntlet. He beat Hoshoryu, lost to the injured Kotozakura, missed opportunity there, lost to Wakamoto Haru, lost to Daisho. So still kind of struggles against those Sanyaku guys, but he's a little bit lower, probably not going to be fighting against those guys. I think he's going to get a winning record, but 8-7 is probably like the upper limit. So after that, we have two more enigmas to talk about in this section, Shodai and Tamawashi. Shodai, I mean, you never know what you're going to get. The last time he was Maegashira 4, or rather the last two times, Maegashira 4, 10 and 5, 6 and 9. That's the Shodai experience. Never know what you're going to get. Pick him if he's your favorite. I can't fault you for that, because he'll either go 10 and 5 or 6 and 9. I don't know. Tamawashi, he was one of my saving graces on my last Kachi Clash. He did struggle in this late second trimester, though. That start of the second week, though. And it's against guys you would think he would win against. Kinbozan, sure, has the edge. Endo, they've fought so many times, that, and it's so close that, like, it's just a grudge match. Losing to Kirishima, who he struggles against, sure. Oho was on fire that tournament, sure. Another, veteran that he should, it's 50-50 basically against Takada Fuji as well. Just another grudge match right there. And then after that, he was winning pretty much every other match that he should have been winning. And then losing to Koto Shoho on the last day, come on, guy. You're being too safe. You're protecting your body a little too well. Come on. Consistent but not stellar, yeah. Like, you could definitely bet on Tamawashi to get 9 wins. But I'm not going to pick him. I'm really split between Atami Fuji and Haku Oho. Both of these guys, like, these are the two youngest guys in the top division. Atami Fuji and Haku Oho. And I feel like they should feast from this rank. Haku Oho is a bit more of a question mark because he's returning to this rank. But Atami Fuji, I think, is going to be my pick here because doing so well for so long, being so young, near the Sanyaku ranks, like that's really good. But the 5 and 10 from the previous tournament, you could say maybe he was negatively affected by, his stablemate, his Yokozuna retiring. Maybe it was just a flash in the pan bad tournament because, I mean, if we look at the stats here, he struggles against a lot of the guys he lost against, and the only real outliers are Daisho, who it's split, and Gonoyama, who he has a winning record against. Takanosho, it's split too. And Tobizadu, he suffered his first loss to. So, but he's beating people he should be beating. Tsunana Umi, Mitake Umi, Takeyasu. He got his first win against an injured Kotozakura. He beat Hoshoryu. So, like, Atami Fuji, I think that was just a bad tournament. Like, a lot of things just didn't go his way. And especially in the first few days when you need to build momentum, you lose the first match and it feels like it could have, well, I mean, he struggles against him, so it's going to be a bad matchup either way. Then you lose a match that's a coin flip, you lose another match that's practically a coin flip, and now you're feeling bad. And when you feel bad, it's hard to recover. So, Atami Fuji, I think I have more confidence in bouncing back than I have Haku Oho in bouncing higher. You know what I mean? Like, Atami Fuji has been here before, whereas Haku Oho, this is technically unknown waters to him. And I think Atami Fuji will definitely have the edge here. And then at the very bottom, we have Midori Fuji. I'm going to go through this one quickly. Midori Fuji, he's been struggling lately, and I don't know why. I'm not too confident in him. 3 straight 7 and 8s. Meisei, honestly, I never really was ever confident in Meisei, so I wouldn't pick him either. Takada Fuji, I usually like picking Takada Fuji, but that 5 and 10 at the last tournament, very worrying. And even from this low before 8-7, the 10 and 5 helped out by a Fusensho, there are better options to pick. Takada Fuji, though, an okay pick here. Onokatsu, the new hotness, staying at his career high with that 7 and 8 record. I think he will bounce up. 24 years old, very strong. I think he will bounce upwards. Nishiki Fuji. Nishiki Fuji, 28 years old, a career high of Maegashira 3, but he got smacked back down. I think he'll get a winning record. I just don't think it's going to be that big. Like, there are going to be better options than Nishiki Fuji. Shishi, when he was up in the top division back in November, I was saying that in most of his losses, up until basically like the last 3-4 losses he had, like in these first 5 losses, he was fighting his ass off and he was looking good. It was just, it didn't go his way, and that does shake your confidence. Like I said earlier, I think he's going to bounce back stronger, and I think he's going to be getting a winning record this tournament. But will it be the best? I don't think so. Ryu Den, he's usually good from these lower ranks, but I mean, he was kind of struggling in these lower Maegashira ranks. Maybe he's just going to be a gatekeeper to Judio now. I'm not picking him. Churanoumi, coming off of the back of 2 straight 4-11s after 2 straight 10-5s. Like, my guy, you flew too close to the sun, I guess. Like, your wings melted and you're crashing back down to earth. 10-5, 10-5, 4-11, 4-11. From here, I would expect a winning record for him. I expect a winning record for Churanoumi, but maybe he reached the peak and now he's gonna just kind of sit here for a little while. Then Aonishiki. Completely unproven, but his climb up the Banzuke this past year and a half has been a complete treat to watch. I love watching Aonishiki, and I believe it is going to be a matter of time until he gets exposed and has a bad tournament. I don't think it will be this tournament. It will probably be the next tournament after he gets 11 wins here. I'm calling it 10 plus wins, 11 probably, where he's going to be sitting. Sadanoumi, longtime veteran. You kind of know what you're going to get with him, although sometimes you don't. 4-11 from Maegashira 12 last time he was up here. But then again, usually he's sitting at around that 50-50 mark, 8-7, 8-7, 6-9, 8-7, 9-6. I would say the double-digit losses are not the norm, but 2 double-digit losing tournaments within 1 year, that's not inspiring confidence. Asakoryu. I love Asakoryu. The muscle man reminds me very much of Ishiura, for those of you that remember him. In his debut, went 6-9. What record did I call for Onosato? 10 plus wins. Definitely getting 10 wins. Maybe 12. Yusho contender? Probably. Let's see. Asakoryu. Hold on, I got a buzz on my phone, and it is Gmail. Oh, thank you for the $5 donation from Alex. Very much appreciate that. Anyway, Asakoryu. I like him, but I think top division is just going to be a little too strong for him. Like, I love his aesthetic, I love his strength, but he does better in Judio than he, I think, like, I want to say maybe Maegashira 10 is his ceiling, and of course it's hard to call that type of thing, but Asakoryu, he doesn't have the same strength as Aonishiki and Shishi, and he definitely doesn't have the size, and he's not a trickster like Midori Fuji or Tobizaru, where he can do something that his opponents don't really expect. Like, he's gonna fight straight up, and I appreciate that about him, but that's also his weakness. He's gonna get overpowered by some of these other guys. I think he's gonna get a losing record. Koto Shoho, I mean, he's all over the place, man. I never really know what to call him. Like, he had winning records from Maegashira 7 not too long ago, a 7-8 from Maegashira 4 not too long ago, and then a 5-10 from Maegashira 13. Like, he's still young, too. Like, he's only 25 years old. I feel like I shouldn't be this low on him, but I guess it's because I've been watching him for most of my, sumo watching career that, like, I'm kind of done with his inconsistency. Like, I want him to succeed because he's young and he's strong, but he's just too damn inconsistent. And I can't really pinpoint Why? Like, for some reason, he just gets overpowered where I feel like he shouldn't be getting overpowered. I'm not picking him. Mitake Umi, this is the lowest he has been on the Banzuke since his debut. It has been 10 years since he has been this low on the Banzuke. And I don't know what's wrong with him. 32 years old. He went 2-13 at the last tournament. Unprecedentedly horrible. Think he's just out of steam? I mean, he might be. Some guys have a different lifespan. Some guys have different, tanks of gas. Is Mitake Umi just out of gas? He's never really been the same since his dad died. Yeah, he really hasn't. That might have affected him a lot more than we think, like just mentally. Like, sure, we are a couple of years removed, but you're going to feel that kind of thing for a long time. I can't psychoanalyze him. I don't think we can make that kind of assumption about him, but you're not wrong. He has not been the same since his dad passed away. Like, he just... It's sad to watch, honestly, because, again, he could have been, if he never made it to Ozeki, he could have been, like, the strongest sumo wrestler to never make it to Ozeki with his number of Yusho. Like, if they didn't give him if this 9-6 was an 8-7, or if that 11-4 was a 10 win, I'd probably still give it to him, honestly. But, like, 3 Yushos as a Sekiwake is tied for the most for a non-Ozeki. And he could have been known as one of the strongest sumo wrestlers to never make it to Ozeki. But now, it's so sad because he's going to be remembered as, like, a horrible Ozeki. He had 1 winning record as Ozeki, immediately fell off, and has never been the same since. And I mean, I guess it has to be more mental than physical. I don't really know. Like, 2-13 from Maegashira 7 for a former Ozeki. That's not like him. And I didn't read anything about him struggling through an injury. I didn't see anything about him, like, nursing an injury or anything like that. I just feel bad for Mitake Umi, honestly. I like him, but I just feel bad for him. Shido Kuma, an interesting addition, 25 years old from Nishonoseki stable. His debut, he was injured. Was he fighting injured this entire tournament, or did he get injured at the end? I don't remember. Possible fighting injured from the start of it, so maybe we didn't see his full strength. I think this is an over-promotion. I don't think Shido Kuma should be in the top division. That being said, I don't think he's going to get a losing record either. He's been here before. He kind of knows what to expect now. He's going to be fighting largely a lot of the same guys he has fought before down in Judio. I think he can squeak out another winning record. I don't think it's that likely, though. And then, of course, Toki Hayate, who he seemingly has the devil's luck. 6-9 from Maegashira 15, hangs on at the very bottom. 7-8 from the very bottom, hangs on at the very bottom. Maegashira 18, they opened up a new slot for him. It's the Toki Hayate slot. It's the last spot on the Banzuke, specifically for Toki Hayate. 28 years old. In all of his top division matches, I've never been super impressed by his strength. Like, I know Kongo will mention how cool his name is, the Winds of Time. But other than a cool name, he doesn't really have much else. He isn't as fast or as strong as anyone else around him, I think. And, I mean, 6-9 and 7-8 are not bad records. They're not horrible records. But they're not winning records. And if you can't get a winning record, you're going to fall down the Banzuke. He has 2 straight losing records. All of his records in the top division have been losing records. he's probably just going to be more comfortable in Judo where the level of competition is lower. Maybe he can squeak out a win here if he fights some of those guys from Judo as the bottom guy, but that would require someone to come into the tournament injured, and I don't think there are anyone injured. And that kind of leaves me with two options here. And funny that it's the two white guys. It's the two Ukrainians. Aonishiki and Shishi. Now, Shishi is the one coming off the back of a Yusho. He did beat Aonishiki in the head-to-head. And Shishi does have previous experience here in the top division. And again, I remember it very clearly, in these losses, Onokatsu, Haku Oho, Ryuden, Asakoryu, Chiyoshima, he looked good in every single one of those losses. He was fighting for his life in every single one of those losses, but they just didn't go his way. If those go his way, then he doesn't lack the confidence in the rest of these matches, and these could all possibly be wins too, but, I don't like speaking in hypotheticals too much, so. I am leaning Shishi over Aonishiki, not just because the head-to-head, but also the experience in the top division. And, Shishi is 8 years older than Aonishiki. He's kind of at his peak of strength already, and I don't believe he's at the peak on the Banzuke of where he's going to land. Shishi, I don't think he's going to become an Ozeki, but he will be someone, I think, that comfortably sits in the middle Maegashira ranks for the next couple of years. Maybe has a tournament as a Komusubi, thanks to a little bit of Banzuke luck, and maybe like an 11-4 from Maegashira 6 or something, I don't know. But that's kind of what I foresee for Shishi. But in the long term for Aonishiki, there's a lot more potential there. I think there's a lot of potential to become an Ozeki, maybe a Yokozuna in the future, but he is very raw. He's 20 years old. Now he is the youngest man in the top division. We have Haku Oho, 21, Atami Fuji, 22, Aonishiki, 20 years old. We have a lot of really strong young blood in this top division, and if we're, looking to win Kachi Clash right now, I'm picking Shishi. But if we're trying to predict between the two of these guys who's going to be the better sumo wrestler in the long run, easily Aonishiki. Like, maybe this same time next year, when both of these guys are Maegashira 7, I'm going to be picking Aonishiki. But for right now, I'm picking Shishi. Aonishiki, like I said, I think it's going to be a matter of time until he gets exposed and realizes he's in way over his head and either needs to adapt his style or, identifies where his weaknesses are so he can better play to his own strengths, that kind of thing. And, if you look at these records, he's very rarely been challenged. Like, you can even argue that this 10-5 was the fluke tournament because this was new ground for him. His first 15-day tournament against a lot of stronger guys, losing to Tsurugisho, the veteran, Tamashoho, the veteran, Osho Umi, not a veteran, 23 years old, Tochi Taikai, also not really a veteran, only 25, Keen Bolzan, not a veteran, but clearly stronger than him. So it's just a matter of time until Aonishiki hits that ceiling. And I think it's going to come sooner rather than later. And I hope it comes sooner for him. That way he can adapt and get stronger sooner. In this moment, Aonishiki is weaker than Shishi. But come next tournament, come next year, come 5 years from now, we're going to be saying Aonishiki. And these are going to be my picks. I feel like outside of Tobizaru, these are going to be a lot of popular picks for the Kachi Clash. Kotozakura, Oho, Tobizaru, Atami Fuji, and Shishi. Because really, in this, like I was saying, this Maegashira 1 section, they're all like around the same level of, yeah, pick 'em, I guess. Whereas, like, down here in Maegashira 11 through 18, there's really only a handful of standouts. And if you don't pick one of those standouts, then you're just picking your favorite. You know what I mean? So, pretty difficult to choose this time around. But I have a feeling not a lot of people are going to pick Kotozakura, so that might be to my advantage. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to pick Oho, Atami Fuji, and Shishi. So, kind of having Tobizaru be that wild card that'll help me win. Kotozakura also being that's a third guy that is definitely not going to be as popular as these two, I don't think. I think that'll help me win this Kachi Clash, which, I mean, usually I'm good at the Kachi Clash. Will we get more than 5 losses this tournament? No, not yet. A lot of people are sleeping on Chura no Umi. He's my unpopular pick. I mean, maybe. Chura no Umi. Yeah, it's really just these two ugly 4-11s. And I'm like, ugh. But, I mean, he could just bounce back from that, you know? You're not wrong. But yeah, these are going to be my picks. Kotozakura, Oho, Tobizaru, Atami Fuji, and Shishi. For those of you watching over on the YouTube side, thank you so much for joining. Oh, wait. Before I do that, before I do my spiel, let's do the schedule for days 1 and 2. And it looks like we have some banger matches. Hoshoryu versus Abi in the Musubi no Ichiban that first day. Onosato versus Wakataka Kage should be fun. Wakamoto Haru versus Kotozakura should be another good one too. Daieisho Gonoyama, Chiyoshoma versus Oho. Kirishima versus Tobizaru, a good Yokozuna match incoming hopefully there. You can see, you know, the 11 to 13 minus 1. The minus 1 is a Fusensho victory, so it's really 12 to 11 in favor of Tobizaru. That should just be a good match. Takanosho versus Takayasu, another good match. Ura versus Ichi Yamamoto. Hirado Umi versus Keen Bolzan. Shodai versus Takeru Fuji. Atami Fuji versus Tamawashi. Haku Oho versus Oshoma. Nishikigi versus Endo. Endo with a heavy advantage. Shonan no Umi versus Midori Fuji. Takara Fuji versus Meisei. Split 7-7. Nishiki Fuji versus Onokatsu. Ryuden versus Shishi. Aonishiki versus Chura no Umi. Asakoryu versus Sara no Umi. Mitake Umi versus Koto Shoho. And Toki Hayate versus Shirokuma. And of course on day 2, in the Musubi no Ichiban, this should be electric. Hoshoryu versus Wakataka Kage. How many of you remember the Ipponze Oi from September 2021? I remember calling that match. Gonoyama versus Kotozakura. Kotozakura's undefeated. Kirishima versus Onosato. Onosato is undefeated. Wakamoto Haru versus Oho. Heavily favored towards Wakamoto Haru. Daieisho versus Chiyoshoma, an even split, surprisingly. Tobizaru versus Abi, another even split. Takanosho, undefeated against Ichi Yamamoto. Takayasu and Ura, another even split. Takeru Fuji versus Keen Bolzan. Shodai versus Hirado Umi. Oshoma versus Tamawashi. Atami Fuji versus Endo. Aku Oho versus Nishikigi. Meisei versus Shonan no Umi. Midori Fuji versus Onokatsu. Shishi versus Takara Fuji. Ryuden, favored against Nishiki Fuji. Chura no Umi, heavily favored against Sara no Umi. Aonishiki versus Asakoryu. Shirokuma versus Koto Shoho. And then finally, Mitake Umi versus Toki Hayate on day 2. And then, of course, let's take a look at the lower division Banzukes. We have a bunch of debutantes in Judo, Wakanosho, Otsuji, and Kusano. Let's take a look at those real quick. Wakanosho, making his debut back in 2022, 21 years old, making it after a 5-2 from Makushita 1 East. He's been pretty solid, of course. Taking his time through the third division. Usually the third division is where the speed bumps really start to occur, but making it up here slow and steady. 21 years old, he's still got a lot of time, he's still got a lot to learn. Otsuji, 21 years old, has had an injury early on in his career, but came back, bounced back to that third division, and he has spent the better part of the last 5 years in this third division. He was 17 years old in that third division. And finally, makes it up to Juryo. Looking forward to see how he will perform from Takaragawa Stable. Then, of course, Kusano, the Makushita 60 Tsukedashi, meaning that he skipped because of his strength from Nihon University, practicing at Isagahama Stable. He is making his debut in Juryo after 5 consecutive winning records. 1 full year, and he's already made it up to Juryo. Let's see how he does, 23 years old. Who do I think is going to win the Juryo Yusho? Nabatame. gotta do it for the fans. Nabatame. He looked so strong at the last tournament, and a lot of people were saying too, like, all he needed to do was build up his confidence, and then he started dominating people. Like, his wins were so strong. Of course, he has to not lose the first 3 out of 4 matches. Looking at the 3rd division, a lot of good names. Miyagi, Ishizaki, both occupying Makushita 1. Tochimaru on his way back up, the man of 1,000 bee stings, Makushita 2. Mudoho Nishinoryu and Mita from Futagayama Stable, all at new career highs. Mudoho coming off the back of a very strong tournament, that 7-0 Yusho. Will he join his brother Oho as a Sekitori after this tournament? I don't think so. We have Ten Shoho returning to Makushita 5. As we scroll down a bit, we have Dai Masakari making his debut at Makushita 22. What a jump after that 7-0 Yusho from Sandanme 32. 19 years old, and he's already so high. I kind of expect him to get smacked back down, probably at 2-5, but we'll see. A fun name to say, Aratakayama. Makushita 25 with Wakatakamoto, the eldest Onami brother, at Makushita 24. As we move down, we have Enho at Makushita 30. And Noda also making a debut. He is pretty on fire too. 6-1, 6-1. Not a single losing record to his name. 19 years old for Noda as well. Let's see. There's another guy around here. Where is he? Tanji! That's not who I was looking for, but Tanji, 18 years old. I still think he's the youngest guy in this 3rd division. Really struggling at the last tournament. Struggling recently, too. But let's hope he can bounce back. We also have, let's see. Where is his name? We have Matsui. That's a name I recognize. I don't want to have to search for it because then I'll feel like a loser. But there he is. Kawazoe, Makushita 39. Coming back from that foot injury. Again, slow and steady. Had that injury back in November as well. Let's hope he can keep on moving up. Lower on the Banzuke, we have a couple of notable debuts in this 3rd division as well. Half Nigerian Ikazuchido, practicing at Ikazuchi Stable alongside Shishi. 3 consecutive winning records, 2 of them 5-2. I really hope he can swim in this 3rd division. 19 years old for Ikazuchi-do. Skinny guy too. He needs to put on some weight. And speaking of skinny, Yamato, 21 years old. Super skinny, 80 kilograms according to this chart right here from Dewano Umi Stable. Making his debut in the 3rd division. You'll know him from those top 10 videos I make because he does some crazy kick moves. Because he's so small, he has to rely on those kinds of things. Who's going to win the 3rd division Yusho? Honestly, could be anybody. I'm hoping for Enho, but I don't think it's going to be him. I mean, it could even be someone like Aqua. Who knows? Scrolling down to Sandanme, a couple of notable names down here. Most importantly, Asanoyama returning from his injury, 31 years old. Let's see how much he has left in the tank. You can see back here he was suspended for a long time due to breaking COVID protocol. Came back, fought back up to the top division, and injured. Unfortunate, because he made it back to Komusubi, but out for injury once more. He is finally coming back, finally recovered. Sandanme 21 obviously the favorite to win in that division. But there are a couple of names we got to look out for. Furuta, 24 years old, making his debut off the back of a 6-1 from Jonidan 8. Scrolling down a little bit more, this is where the names start to really blend together. You don't really know who you're looking at here. Hakuyo? Not Hakuho? Who's Hakuyo? I don't know. But this is where we get to those really unusual names. The Jonidan division. We have Waka Ikazuchi, 6-1, 18 years old. Gonosho, 6-1, 18 years old, making their debuts. Okada, not the pro wrestler. 22 years old, making his debut after a strong showing. And of course, a lot of guys making their debuts in general on the Banzuke. Tenrose, Sunasaka, Hikaru Musashi, Aoki, Uchiumi, Asanoyama, and Asakawa Sumi. There's also one other name I should have been looking out for too, up in Sandanme. Where is he? Not Yago, but Yago is a name I recognize. Was it Go Seizan? No, it wasn't him, but he's on a tear too. Look at that, 7-0, 5-0-2, 6-1. Technically only one fighting loss under his record. 19 years old, Go Seizan. Look out for him. No, who I'm looking for, what's his name? Soga? Where is he? No, not Soga. Oh, there's two Sogas. Huh? There's two guys named Soga on the Banzuke? I don't think I've ever seen that before. I didn't think that could happen. Where can we watch this tournament live in the States? Live right here on my channel starting tomorrow night. LeoDickinsonSumo. I do have backup channels on YouTube at the ready, but there's also Lion Sumo for the non-English commentary version. Oh, you're right. It could be Soga. So, like, these romanizations are probably incorrect. So we have Soga and Soga, which one of these romanizations is definitely spelled wrong. It should be Souga, and it does matter because it's going to be different kanji. Or this is the same guy. Whoops. I'm stupid, dude. There we go. Yeah, see, it's two different kanjis. So it's two different Sogas. Interesting. But anyway, where the hell is that guy I'm looking for? He was the Sandanme Suke Dashi at the last tournament. Ikarigata is such a cool name. It was him, Ikarigata. That's who I'm looking for. 18 years old. Iseno Umi stable. Sandanme 23. Keep an eye out for him as well. But that'll be it for us. What channel on Twitch? The same channel name, LeoDickinsonSumo. And also, again, Lion Sumo. So let me do Twitch in the chat. Will Nightbot respond is the question. There it is. Yes, just look for LeoDickinsonSumo. You can Google it and it pops up. But that'll be it from us over on the YouTube side. This went a little bit longer than I was expecting and hoping. So if you want to continue watching, we will stay live over on the Twitch side, where we will watch the ring purification ceremony and some training videos if I could stay awake. But that'll be it from us over here. Thank you for watching day 0 over on the YouTube side. Remember, these are my Kachi Clash picks: Kotozakura, Oho, Tobizaru, Atami Fuji, and Shishi. And thank you, Wildly Coyote, for your Twitch subscription. Yes, I don't show those on the YouTube side because they will be picked up by the... there's basically a thing in YouTube that identifies if one channel is showing another channel's stuff. And so if I were to just start playing this for like a good chunk of time, then the Sumo Association YouTube channel would be alerted that I'm playing their content and they could copyright strike me. So, yes. Soga Dickinson channel and Soga Dickinson channel. Alrighty, but thank you once again for watching. It's a perfect hour and a half over on the YouTube side. Be sure to catch us same time, same place over on YouTube. And that's if Abema doesn't give us a channel strike. Also, before we go, I still have... Oh, that's mech. I still have stickers for sale in my Etsy store. 50% off when you use the code Haru Basho. That is 50% off. Use code Haru Basho to buy some stickers so I can make a little bit more money and buy some baby formula for my son. Leo and Leo. Alrighty. Now it's finally it for us over on the YouTube side. We will catch you cats later.